The trolley problem in its most basic form is a train is going down a track and it's on its way to run down 3 people. Now, there is a divergent part of the track which will switch the train to a different track that only runs over 1 person. And you're in control of the lever, and you can either do nothing and let the train run over 3 people, or you can pull it and make the train run over 1. In my opinion, I think the thing I would do, or I would hope I would do, or what I morally think is the best thing to do, is to pull the lever, because I think inaction in itself is still action. Now, I understand there are people who disagree with me on that, and that there's this idea that you're choosing whose life gets to live, but I believe that you're doing the exact same thing if you don't pull the lever. So, I don't know. I think that one is a lot more less debated, but I'd love to hear any thoughts in the comments. By the way, this is me playing some Skywars. I love this game right now. I'm not the best at it, but I've been grinding a lot. So this game specifically, this guy was just running, but I catch him eventually. I mean, I won't spoil anything, but let's just say it doesn't end well. Although this bit here gets a little irritating. Anyway, so that's the first level of the trolley problem. The following level of the trolley problem gets a little more difficult, but it's the same concept. You are on top of a bridge. You're with a person. And in all of these scenarios, the people are, you know, bagged. You can't see what gender they are. You can't see what race. Not that that should affect anything, obviously. You don't have any information about these people, their height, literally anything. So you have someone, you're with someone on top of a bridge. There's a train, again, going under the bridge. And on the other side of the bridge, there are 3 people lied down and strapped down. You know that if you push this person off the bridge, the train will run into this person, and then its like collision system will immediately detect it ran into something, and it will pull the brakes and stop before it runs over the other 3 people, or you cannot push the person and it will run over 3 people. Now, this one brings up a lot more debate. I think, morally, that if you said yes to the other one, that you should almost always say yes to this one. Now, the best argument against that I've heard is you don't know how the person on the bridge ended up there, right? Theoretically, that person could have just been taking a stroll. I don't love that idea because I think that changes the question a little bit. So when I give this prompt, I like to say that all these people are here under the same circumstance. So the person on the bridge is not taking a stroll. The person on the bridge is also tied up, somehow just managing to be there, and it's up to you whether or not you push them. In that scenario, I think you absolutely should push them because it's the exact same thing as the pulling the lever, right? If you do nothing, you're still killing 3 people. If you push that person, yeah, you're killing 1 person, but it's not the most awful thing in the world. You're actually saving lives. Again, there's the same argument of inaction is action. I get stuck in the webs here. Sorry to go back to Skywars. This bit is gut-wrench. I could totally be killed here. I think he was just scared. I had a lot of good armor at this moment, and 6.5 damage stone sword is just scary sometimes, people. But I get this diamond sword here. Actually, no, I don't. Anyway, sorry. I'm going back. So I believe that you should push that person because, again, inaction is still action. And taking that action, I think, is something that you have to do morally. But I can also understand that pushing someone is a lot different than pulling a lever, right? It's a disconnect. It's almost the same thing as, you know, if you head on to a social media platform and you write a comment. You have a lot more privacy. You have a lot more anonymity is a better way to put it. But if you do it in person, it's a lot different. Just like if you pull a lever, you're not actually killing someone, but if you push them, you are. Hopefully this video doesn't get demonetized because of how many times I'm saying the K-I-double-L word. But, you know, I think you have to do it if we're talking about the trolley problem. So that's my belief. Now, the hardest one for me, personally, and the one I've continuously flipped back and forth on, is this idea of a doctor who is at a hospital, and they have 3 patients that are in critical condition. We don't know the patient's age, race, genders, all that kind of stuff. We don't know any of it. But we do know that they're in critical condition, and we know that at some point they're going to die very, very soon. It is unpreventable, basically. Now, here's the thing. A patient comes in, a different patient, different than these three, who's in perfectly good condition, but has the perfect 3 matching vital organs that these other people need. There's no other way that these other 3 patients can get those organs unless you use this patient who's coming in right now for a normal, just coming in right now. And the question is, do you, harvest this other person's organs and give it to the other 3? If you know that the other 3, after these organs are harvested, will live perfectly fine. Like, their lives will be returned to normal completely. And I think that's an interesting point. I waste my strength here. I don't think I needed it. I think I would have been fine, but it's okay. So the question is, do you use it there? Or do you harvest those organs? And I think this goes back to the point made beforehand that if the person just happens to be walking on the bridge, oh no, I get hit off here. And sorry, again, I don't want to interrupt myself, but if I had not been hit with a rod, I would have been totally fine. But since I was hit with a rod, and then this is the last game. This is a game where I'm just in kind of a duel with this person for a while. I'm just sorting through my inventory a lot here. We got 4 people left, but it's rough. It's rough. Anyway, I need to finish. I only have a minute and a half left. So the question is, do you harvest their organs? For me, I don't know. I think this goes to the point where if they're coming in for a normal checkup and the other 3 are already dying, at that point, that is not my decision to make, because they aren't in the same scenario where they're all tied up. They're in different scenarios. And while it's not fair how they got there, I don't think that's my point to intervene. But that's why I say right now, maybe in a week I'll change my mind back to the inaction is action in itself argument. So I can see any kind of arguments there, and I'd love to know what you all think in the comments. That'd be great. But the trolley problem is just such an interesting thing, and it's something that I think people like to really skim past. They like to say, yeah, I would pull the lever, I wouldn't pull the lever. But there's so many layers. There's a Neil.fun website about the trolley problem. There's this whole thing about the trolley problem. When you start adding information about the people, gender, age especially, things like that, race. No, well, the race gets a little iffy. But it's just interesting to see how people's opinions change. And I think that teaches you a lot about someone. So if you ever want to ask someone something, to learn something about their morals and what they believe, I think the trolley problem is great. Anyway, I hope this has given you a little bit to think about. I hope the Skywars has gotten better. It's better than last week. But I truly hope you have a great day. And, I do think if there's one thing to remember that action is inaction in itself. Maybe not in the trolley problem. Maybe you disagree with that. But remember to always try and do the right thing. All right. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning. Bye-bye.